All right, we are live for Body Geeks episode 7. What's going on, man?
Not much. Same old. Same shit, different toilet. I cussed too early.
Well, I
think that's in the Bible, right? Shite.
Yeah. Well, I think they keep revising the rules for what you can say on like cable and radio and stuff. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that word shouldn't be a bad word.
Yeah, it's
So,
poop.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like I've been running crazy like this last week.
Yeah, me too.
I did a lot of cool stuff, but I'm tired. I'm actually glad you texted me to like get this in because I'm like, yeah, we got to get the podcast in. And
Right.
it's a good way to, even though it's Sunday, it's like Sunday is like the end of the week. It's not the start of the week. I don't care what anybody says. So it's a good way to end the week.
right. Yeah, it's a nightcapper on it.
Yeah, that kind of makes me think. People consider Sunday the first day of the week, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think some do.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's possibly because work's the next day. Maybe they look at it as, I think that's how Sundays typically are for me. We try to find like something to do, relaxing, but then also you kind of got to know you got to prepare for the rest of the week, I guess.
So maybe that's how they're like, you should start your week by preparing for your week.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. To me, Sunday is like the end of the weekend and the weekend is the end. So
right.
To me, Sunday is like the last day of the week. That's how I'm going to look at it from now on. I don't care if it's right or wrong.
Glass half full. Glass half full. I like
exactly. So man, I on Monday last week, we took Riley to Disneyland and and that was awesome. And then I literally just got back like an hour ago from Vegas. So I spent the last couple of days in Vegas.
Nice.
And then I worked 3 days. So I took 2 days off, right? Worked 3 days. And then on Friday morning before we left for Vegas, I had another interview. So I had to like crash course prepare for that. So yeah, man, I feel like between spending the whole day at Disney and then cramming like as much work as I can in over 3 days and then taking off to Vegas. I mean, it's been mostly fun stuff, but even vacations are tiring. So I'm like hitting the wall, looking forward to sleeping tonight. So yeah, I figured those would be a few things I wanted to share. Let me actually share the screen. I tried to, hang on one second. I have to have the internet open and then go click back to the Zoom meeting and then share screen. And I could just go straight to the internet as opposed to, if I share it just on Zoom with like it minimized, it doesn't give me the option. Stupid. Anyways, I'll just get right to it.
There we go.
Do you recognize any of that stuff? Have you seen or heard any of that?
No, I saw you yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I saw you were in something like one of those, and I was like, where the hell is he? I thought you were, it was funny because I thought it was like, I don't even know what it was. I can't even describe it. Thought it was like something in LA or some type of like pop-up, or I didn't know what was going on, but yeah, it looked really interesting. Wherever you were, I was like, dude, what is that? It's like a museum or something.
Yeah. So this is Vegas, right? That was yesterday. I posted like a little bit of stories on it just because I was tripping out. So we went to Vegas with Jacob and Kate. Okay. And it was supposed to be kind of like a extended birthday trip for Jacob.
Right.
And so, our listeners don't know Jacob and Kate, but Mason and I have known Jacob, who's married to Kate. We've known Jacob for 15 years now or something,
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's part of the group. And if you're going to Vegas with Jacob, you're going to do something weird. Yeah. Like, it's not going to be the stereotypical Vegas trip. If you do anything with Jacob, it's not going to be stereotypical. It's going to be something, you have some new life experiences, but
very true.
So his actually, I don't know, the beauty of like I've been friends with Jacob for a long time, and then Becca and Kate became friends. And the beauty of like the couple's relationship thing is that the girls plan everything and we just show up, So we got to get that going on too, Mason. So we don't have to worry about it.
I agree.
So one of them, either Kate or Becca, found this place called Meow Wolf. I know, crazy name. Yeah, Meow Wolf. And apparently their first place they had, I think, is in New Mexico.
Okay.
And then the next one is in Vegas, and now I think they're expanding to like Denver. So it's trying to yeah, it's kind of growing. But the whole point kind of stemmed around art initially, but like interactive art. And it grew to be just kind of like a giant weird playground that's, I mean, I guess you call it like abstract art or
Right.
surrealist art or whatever, but it's more than just like stuff to look at. Like it's interactive. So they serve drinks there. It's like a big party. So it's not like, when I use the word art, I'm not saying like, oh, it's a cool like museum with weird pictures.
Yeah.
Like it's interactive, meaning like it's designed for you to drink or whatever. You look at these pictures. So whatever people do in Vegas to do there, besides drink, it's going to alter your state of consciousness, whether you're sober or not, by the interactive aspect of it. So they planned that as one of the things we were basing the trip around. And it was freaking crazy, man. If anybody going to Vegas, highly suggest looking up Meow Wolf. It's a huge Wolf. Yeah. So turns out they came up with their name by just putting a bunch of random words in a hat, and the first two words they picked, that's what they were going to name
Wolf. That's funny.
So yeah, they have like, I don't know, I looked up Meow Wolf Vegas. So this here, Omega Mart. So this is like their feature attraction. Now the whole thing is, dude, I don't even know how big the building is, 100,000 square feet. Like it's massive. It's huge, right? You spend a whole day there, even maybe a couple days there, right? And there's so many different things in like the regular part. They have like an indoor driving range with like the screens that you whack like a golf ball into.
Right.
It's also like a bar. So it's kind of like a little party thing. They have like a zip line thing that goes all the way around the whole place. They got several bars, a ton of virtual reality stuff. I mean, it's every little, like, it's like a mall, but instead of there being stores where like every store would be, there's like another feature. So you can go there just for like one thing or try and take it all in. But the main thing that people go there for is this thing called Omega Mart, which is like a kind of set as like a joke, like dystopian future of a conspiracy theory based around grocery store. So you go in through this thing, like the entrance, and they have like TVs, and it's like a regular grocery store, except all the products in there are like they're jokes, right? So like you read the ingredients on the label, like the amount of detail to trip out on is great. Like you pick up a thing, like I picked up a can of Pringles, legitimate Pringles that I could have actually purchased there and ate, but the label and what it said on there was like a dystopian joke. So like it's an authentic can of Pringles, but it's a joke at the same time, right? So you're in this grocery store that's all like that, and within the store, all of a sudden you'll find like a secret passageway. Like you'll go to open like a refrigerator door to get a drink, and next thing you know, like if you pull like the right drink or you open it, it'll like slide open, and you can go in there, and that leads into just a massive like fantasy world with all kinds of stuff that is centered on this storyline about some conspiracy theory about like the grocery store. So like even when we were shopping in the grocery store, the TVs are playing like what feels like an authentic ad, like in real life, except with like, satire, like jokes, right? About everything. And then all of a sudden the lights will like flicker, and then this like head will pop up, and it's kind of like a like V for Vendetta, like somebody like hacking in, telling you you're being brainwashed and stuff. So yeah, so that alone, dude, like, I mean, that's my cup of tea. Like, let's get weird. There's a little bit of mystery, some puzzles to solve, and secret passageways, and I just geeked out on the whole thing. But yeah, that was hands down one of the most fun things I've done in Vegas, and I've done Vegas a lot. So highly recommend. Some other pictures of it. They have like, this is inside like one of the secret doors of the grocery store. Takes you in, and they have this massive like 3-story slide, that you can get to.
Wow.
They got like, let me see if I can find some other stuff. Yeah, like this thing, there's like a bunch of caves in there with like a fake river, and they use a ton of like different lights and projections and making some like, just really trippy looking stuff. Let's see. Here's like the inside of the grocery store. I still have you masoned in my internet screw up. Let's see. Are you still there, Mason?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Did I lose you at all or no?
No, you got a little choppy, but I was still picking it up.
Okay, cool. So I'll go back to sharing the screen then. If it messes up, I'll just put it on the hotspot, and when my internet works, it's way better than the hotspot, but when it works, right? God damn it. And of course I lose Mason then.
Let's see.
I'm going to put the hotspot on. This is ridiculous. Let's see. All right, it's linked up there. Hopefully there's no more issues. So yeah, I don't want to talk forever about Meow Wolf, but this place was awesome. I mean, there's like your inside of the grocery store. That like how massive it is and just the different type of weird stuff in there. Like it's just, if you want to go into a whole other world, it's a great place to do it. And like I said, you could zip line there, you can golf there, do virtual reality, or just go to any one of the bars, restaurants, and like eat food and drink, So we did that. And then the other thing, I did one other weird thing in Vegas. What was it called? Have you heard of this before? Blackout Dining?
No. I think I've heard of Blackout Dining, but I swear it was like in a movie. So it was like a fake premise, but it sounds like now it's a real thing.
Yeah, so it's a real thing for sure in Vegas. I don't know if they have it elsewhere, but so it's going to be hard to get pictures of, right? Because it's blackout. So here's like, something to give an idea. So basically they have a 7-course meal. That's like the only thing on the menu, right?
Okay.
You pick your drinks, but otherwise you just sign up and pay for the 7-course meal. And you and your party, the server wears night vision goggles and they literally line you up. You have to hold on to like the waiter's shoulder or something. And then everybody in your group like holds on to you and you like line up. And when they say that it's blackout, like you're eating a meal, 7-course meal, 8-course meal or whatever,
right,
in the dark, it is pitch black. Like you cannot see half an inch in front of your face, like nothing.
Really?
And so they take you in, they lead you down, they sit you down at the table. And then the server basically tells you where everything is. So they're like, if you feel in front of you, you feel your plate, like your fork and whatever. And at the end of your fork, you'll find your glass, so basically it's a whole dinner experience without vision. You're eating in pitch black, which I didn't really know what to expect. I'm like, this is weird enough for me to try it, but I didn't know if I'd like it or not.
Yeah.
And the coolest part is you don't know what you're eating, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But they do describe it to you. So they're like, all right, we're sitting, there's a bowl in front of you and there's some liquid in it and there's a spoon on the side. So, you kind of figure it's soup, right? But you don't know what kind of soup. And so the whole point is, I think without vision, it's supposed to heighten your sense of like taste and smell. And that was honestly a lot more fun than I had anticipated. It was definitely recommend that as well. I don't know if it's something I would do all the time, but like one of those things to do at least once. And one of the funniest things that happened was, this will be more funny to you because Jacob, right?
Yeah.
Who's who can be like socially awkward, but he also doesn't care at all, right?
He's like a high functioning, I can't even, Asperger's, like
he's like a genius, but he'll do dumb things sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
So we at one of the courses, right, it ended up being a salad. Okay. But when like I said, when the server brings you the food, they don't tell you this is a salad. They say like, this is a bowl and it can be messy. So you want to use like a sharp stabbing motion with your fork to pick up as much as you can. By the time you take your first bite, most of the time you figure out kind of what you're eating, right?
Right.
Especially you can determine if it's salad. But the way that our server had kind of let us on, you didn't know if it was pasta. You didn't know like what it was, right? And like right away, as soon as we all took our first bite, we were like, this is salad, so it was kind of like the server let us on, And so as the night goes on, Jacob was just kind of referencing that. And he was like, yeah, sometimes they take you like your food and you're thinking like, oh, is this pasta? Is this noodles? Is this, what is it? It's like, oh, it's a salad. And so he was kind of making fun of the server. And he's like, yeah, she was trying to convince me if it's noodles. It's like, bitch, this is salad. This is easy to eat. Like, I can figure it out. And right when he said that, you can see the glow from their night vision goggles. I look up, and roughly where Jacob would be, I see this glow like right behind him. So he said that when she was serving his food right behind him. So yeah, note to those wanting to do this: don't make fun of your servers because you don't know where they are. They could be standing right there at your table, you know. But yeah, Vegas,
like,
it was good.
that's a good trip. How long did you guys go for? Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, so we left Friday, and then came back Sunday, and we pretty much like, we didn't really do much Friday. We just kind of gambled a little bit, and then Saturday was the fun day. We did the Meow Wolf thing like all day, and then we did the Blackout Dining at night. And then today, Sunday, was pretty much just Beck and I wanted to go by the M&M store to get some stuff for Riley.
Right.
So we did that, and we ate breakfast in the morning. But then we did the worst thing as far as driving to Vegas. Like, driving there on a Friday is horrible because of traffic, and driving back on a Sunday is horrible because of traffic. But so the Sunday was mostly just a commuting day, but still good. And dude, the best part, I can't believe I haven't said this yet. Vegas is following the CDC guidelines. So if you're vaccinated, no masks.
Oh, right.
So when we were in the casino and just generally in Vegas everywhere, aside from seeing hand sanitizing dispensers all over the place,
right,
and the occasional people wearing masks, it felt like normal life.
Wow.
So I was most excited about that over everything else that we did. Was like, I'm gonna go do these very weird things in a normal life. Kind of sums up, the pandemic right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, today we went to. Today was a weird day. Like, most of the time on my weekends, like, I mean, you've known me for a while. Ever since I was a kid, I just have this like weird time with sleep. Like, it's hard for me to get to bed at a decent hour, and like, even if I'm tired, I just, for whatever reason, my body just like wants to be awake, and I've been able to do it ever since I was a kid. And it's not great for me, probably not great at all. It might catch up with me at some time, but I usually, I'll nap when I get home. I'll try to make up for it on the weekends. I'll sleep a little here and there. So like Saturdays are typically like I'll sleep in a little bit, like at the latest to like 10, 11-ish, but most of the time I'll try to be up between like 9 and 11. And then Sundays are somewhat similar, but I usually need like one of those days to really rest. Today was like one of those weird days. I woke up and I was just like awake at like 7, and I was just like ready to start my day and just do things. And like, we got a lot done today, but like, it was funny because like, I don't remember the last time I've done that. Most of the time when I'm doing that, I'm up at 4 or 4:30 for work, and that's no problem. Like, I know I got to get up, so I get up. But today I was just like, I woke up and I was like, I just got to go do stuff, like, my girlfriend's studying. So I was like, hey, just, do your study stuff. I'll take the dog, just whatever, like whatever. Usually Sundays, like I said, we're getting ready for the week. It's usually a Costco day, and hitting some grocery stores and just like little things we want to pick up. But yeah, I was funny. I went out to, I got up and I was like, I'm going to go straight to Costco. Went to Costco and it was closed. Like I was like an hour and a half ahead of Costco. So luckily their gas station opens up early. And if you guys know what's going on with gas right now, it was like,
oh man,
there was a crazy line. So that took up like a good chunk of the time was just me waiting to get gas. But I want to say it was like $3.20 something a gallon at Costco. Whereas like everywhere else is maybe $1.50 more. You know what I mean?
Dude,
so
that's where, because I'm not too far from a Costco, so that's where I get my gas like 99% of the time, just because of that. But yeah, dude, like going back and forth to Vegas, obviously the gas stations off the freeway are going to be hyperinflated because middle of the desert, you got only an option.
Right.
Like, on the way home, we paid $5. $5 a gallon.
Jesus. Oh,
like,
that's
ridiculous.
So mad. I'd be so mad paying $5 a gallon for gas.
Yeah. I don't even like the fact that we're like, oh, it's only $3.70. Like, they were like excited, or it's only $3.20. Like,
yeah,
what
it's
the
only
hell?
$3.20. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, I filled up my tank for under $80 a day. That's pretty awesome.
Dude, we're old enough to like, I remember when people lost their minds over gas creeping over $2 a gallon. When they're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, when when I first got my license, I still remember. I want to say I did see 134 at a time, 124, but I remember most of the time gas was like 143 for whatever reason. I know that number. But yeah, 143 was like what I used. 143 to 149 was that I remember paying for, a few years at least.
Well, yeah, man. I'm like, if you were going somewhere with a buddy and you had like $5 or $10 on gas, that was good. That was
Oh,
cool.
dude.
Now it's like, oh, cool. So you're going to get us out of the parking lot? Like, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Yeah, this is just to get you the amount you could put in now is to get you to the next gas station down the street.
yeah, exactly. No, it's crazy. That's like the biggest perk I have with my current job is the work from home thing. I'm like, that's it wasn't a whole lot of a pay raise over my last job, but when I factored in, I'm like, okay, not wear and tear on my vehicle, not spending a bunch of money on gas, it becomes like a significant, jump in pay.
Yeah.
But oh man. So dude, the fact that you like, I actually love those days when I wake up and I feel ready to do something.
Yeah.
Because most of the time I wake up and I wake up slow. I have no problem falling asleep, no problem waking up. But for the first like hour or sometimes 2 hours in the morning, I'm just an asshole. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Let me drink my coffee. I'm one of those. Like, I don't even like to respond to text messages. Like, as soon as I wake up for the first hour, I'm like, this is too much for me. I can't deal with it right now. I need to let my nootropics and my coffee kick in before my brain's ready to like hit the day. But occasionally I get those days where I wake up and I'm just like, I got good rest or something. I'm just energized and ready to go. And yeah, those are always productive days. But I will say this, ever since becoming a parent, I don't know when I've slept in past like to me, a late day is 8 a.m.
Jeez.
Like, that's just, no matter, I can go to bed at 12, 1, 2 in the morning. Like, my body just gets up then. And I think it's just the habit of waking up throughout the night or waking up early in the morning because of the kid.
Right.
That's just where my mind is at now. So I look forward to the days where I can sleep in later than that. The only way I get later than that now is if I take like 10 different sleep supplements all at once. Then I'm hallucinating for like a day. So,
Yeah.
I don't get to do that a whole lot anymore.
I wake up pretty frequently throughout the night. Most nights I don't sleep through, and I think not last night, the night before I got through an entire night, but most of the time I'll wake up once or twice a night, bathroom, or I'm hot, so I got to lay on top of my covers. Just it's a mess. But
that's one thing with me. Like, I like freeze me out when I sleep. I'd rather have like extra blankets and have the room be freezing than hot. Like, some people think that that's like, oh, you're a psychopath, you sleep with the air conditioner on. I'm like, no, look, I will sit during the day and sweat when I'm awake and have no problem with the house being like 75, 80 degrees or whatever hot it is,
See, I can't do that either.
Yeah. I think you run hotter than I do.
Yeah.
You always have.
I can't even eat, like, I mean, it's a legitimate problem. Like, I don't eat soup because of that. I was just talking today about like Mexican moms making soup during summer, making caldo, and I showed my girlfriend a clip of like a YouTube video, and I'm like, that's just, I think every Mexican kid has had that, where like you get home and you're hungry, or your mom like, oh, food's done, and then you look and it's this piping bowl of soup, and I'm like, what? Like, less what I want right now. Like, you know what I mean? But like, that's just me all the time. Like, I told her, I was like, I think the last time, like, I know me eating soup by like years, like, not like, oh, it's been a few days or a few weeks. I probably haven't had a bowl of soup in the last 3 years, maybe. I think I had like clam chowder 3 years ago, and like, it just, it's, now I'm going to go on like a soup rant. But anyway, like, soup becomes a bowl of just sodium. So I'm like, I'm going to eat this bowl of sodium and I'm going to feel like a water balloon the second I'm done with it. B, it's always way too damn hot. So like, I'm going to sit there, burn my mouth immediately because I'm so hungry that I want to dig right into it. And then I can't taste anything for the next few days. So that's awesome. Or like, I eat it way too hot, and you finally like get it cold enough, but then it's like almost too cold. It's not like the appropriate temperature.
Yeah. There's like
it just tastes awkward at that point,
I totally get where, what is it? The the Goldilocks with the three bears, or no, that's not it.
Yes.
Whatever the one is where the bear eats the soup and he's like, this was too cold, this was too hot. Like, I'm like, there's like a maybe a not even a 5-minute window, maybe like a 30-second window where the soup is the right temperature. Otherwise, it's too hot, and then all of a sudden it's like, this is gross. Now it's like lukewarm.
It's funny you just said that, because now a memory popped into my head that I haven't thought about. Okay, in 7th grade, I was in drama, and we do like plays and whatever. And for whatever reason, like I just was like, yeah, I'll be Goldilocks. Like we had to do like a group thing.
So
And then I was like,
is there something else going on, Mason? Something you may want to, get out in the open? Something you've been keeping a secret for your whole life?
Yes, I am non-binary. That's what I want. That's what I wanted to talk about on this podcast. But yeah, I was Goldilocks in this 7th grade play, and then I was able to do it in class, no problem. And then I got a little bit of stage fright, and like because we had it, all of a sudden I had to do it in front of like an elementary school for whatever reason.
You had like the hardest role too. You're the star of the show. You're Goldilocks.
I had to carry the show. But like, yeah, it reminded me because of the warm porridge thing and all that. And yeah, I went up there and just ate ass as Goldilocks. wore a yellow wig and everything.
I was gonna say, this was back when Mason had a lot of hair, a lot of long flowing hair. Yeah. So yeah.
Sure enough, I actually think my hair might have been bleached at the time. In like 7th and 8th grade, I bleached my hair a handful of times.
Dude, I was blonde and I did that. It was so popular, Like I think so many people bleached their hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, to finish up my rant on soup, it's always way too hot. Like I said, I'll feel like a water balloon, and then it's just like, I don't know. I just don't get fulfilled the way I get with like food. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where I'm like, it's good, but I'm also just, you would think I was like 2% body fat with how hot I am all the time, because I feel like I'm going to spontaneously combust on a normal day. And just when I have soup, it's like, I feel like I'm going to like go nuclear. I lose my mind.
What about like the famous like specialty soups? Because like I love the specialty stuff, like a legit ramen or pho, things like that. Like, no, don't like those either.
I've never. Okay, I like them. Like I've maybe had pho an entirety of 4 or 5 times in my entire life between the time I first tried it in like 2014 or 2015, and then maybe I haven't had it in probably another 3 or 4 years.
All right.
I like it, but I just am never in the mood for anything soup, because I'm like, it's way too hot, and I'm gonna burn. I know I'm gonna burn myself. You know what I mean? So I like the staples. Like I said, I like clam chowder. Clam chowder in a bread bowl, amazing. I could do like broccoli cheddar. I like different like I like chili, and I like different
you like the hearty stuff.
Yeah, I like stews, and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I'm not gonna eat some bullshit chicken noodle ever. It just throw it out. You know what I mean? Like,
I got one that you may like. I'm not sure if you have you ever had shabu shabu?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never had it.
So shabu shabu, for those who don't know, is like I want to say it's Japanese where it originated from, but it's kind of like it could be similar, like at Korean barbecue, how like you have the grill and like everybody cooks off the grill.
Yeah.
So like with shabu shabu, you have usually it's like a hot plate, and everybody has like a bowl, or sometimes you'll share, but like the ones we go to, everybody has their own bowl. So you have like this bowl on a hot plate, and then you pick whatever broth you want with, and then they have a whole bunch of sides like garlic and onion and whatever the hell else you want to put in there for like seasonings and flavor or sauces, to get like your own type of thing. But then, I mean, you could totally drink the broth too and eat it like a soup if you wanted to. However, the whole kind of point of it is that everything you want to put in there, whether it like, usually it's, you have the option of some kind of noodle, veggies and mushrooms and stuff, but then meat, and like meat is the focal point, kind of like Korean barbecue. And so the whole point is you cook it in your pot, but then you pick out what you want to eat and put it in your bowl, and they have like dipping sauces for the meat and stuff. So I'm like, this is maybe a chance for you to like, you could cook your food in this, and then you could just pull out like all the meat and even vegetables if you want, right? Or even simply just like cook all the meat in the broth, which gives it its own flavor. And then you pull it out, put it on your plate or your bowl, and then dip it, and you just eat the food out of it. So like I said, some people or a lot of people still use like the ladle and like eat it like soup, but you could totally do like an all you can eat shabu thing, or just order a lot of food and you can eat like a pound of meat from that instead of eating it like as a soup. But that's to me, that's like a real specialty food because it's not like it's not like a typical, like, you don't go to a restaurant and order a shabu bowl of soup, like it's a
Yeah.
specific type of cooking, and eating.
Right.
But
Right.
that may be one that could break your soup hate.
Yeah, I'll have to try it. Like definitely when I tried pho, it was summer and I was not in the mood for soup whatsoever. But like my buddy like presented it to me and I was like, you know what? I've never had it. And that guy knows specifically, like I really trust him when it comes to food. He knows the places, he knows how, he'll tell me like specifically how to order it and stuff to where it's going to be a good experience. So I was just like, hey, you know what? Like but I mean after that I probably hadn't had it in like till like a year later. Like I still like the stuff, but it's once in a blue moon I'll be in the mood for it. Other than that, like the other two soups are is like menudo and pozole, which is like like a Mexican like
Yeah.
staple.
Yeah, I don't do menudo, but I'll do pozole like crazy.
Yeah,
So
it's funny. I love menudo. Like pozole, I don't mind, but if menudo's there, I'll eat menudo all day. For those of you that don't know, it's tripe, which is basically like the stomach lining of a cow. And most people can't handle the texture, or they find out it's the stomach lining and then they can't ever eat it again. For me, I was like, fuck it, I don't care. Shit's delicious.
it's actually kind of funny how people are like that. That's actually one of the points they brought up with that Blackout Diner, is that they're like, when people know what they're eating or can see what they're eating, they have like a preconceived notion about it.
Yeah.
And that affects the way that we taste, right? Like if somebody made like a bowl of porridge or something that tasted like amazing, right? But it looked like vomit,
Right.
like that's going to affect the way you feel about it. And so that was kind of their point, is they're like, you don't know what you're eating, you can't see it, so all you can rely on is what it tastes like, right? But yeah, like people do that with food like that. And to be honest, I don't like the texture of it in menudo. That's one of the biggest reasons why I don't eat it.
Yeah.
That, and I've had some really good pozole, so I just prefer that. So when I'm kind of confronted with, okay, we're gonna eat Mexican soup, I just order pozole. Or albondigas is another one I like.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, most people get that, but yeah, for me it's always been menudo. But it was also because my great grandma, everybody called her abuela, because she was basically everybody's grandma. She, basically brought my family from Mexico, and she was like a cook, and she was not just like the cook in her family, but she like actually like worked in a restaurant and stuff. So she made like, to this day I still can't find a menudo that I've had. And so I'll only eat menudo like once every couple years, just to remember what menudo tasted like. But almost out of respect, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I probably haven't had menudo now in about 5 years, and I keep meaning to be like, oh, I gotta go, but I also got to like talk to some people that know their menudo, and then it could be like, hey, like this is the place to go to, because I'm not just gonna be like, you know what, I haven't had it, and I'm gonna go to some taco shop and get it. Like I need to know who makes the good stuff.
Yeah. Best bet is to start with the hole in the wall. Find the hole in the wall. They probably make the best stuff.
Always. I mean, I'm not too far from Santa Ana in Anaheim, so there's got to be a good spot right around here.
Yeah. Oh man. So another cool thing. Back to, I guess, my adventures. Disneyland.
That's right.
It was supposed to be limited capacity, right? They opened, it's limited capacity. You have to reserve tickets ahead of time,
right.
And it's only open to people with a California ID, apparently. Mm-hmm. So knowing that, whenever we got there, we were parking. I saw a ton of cars with license plates from different states. So I don't know if that was enforced. They didn't ID me at all, so I don't know if they know where I live, or that I'm from California. And when you pay for parking in the beginning, so like you pull into Disneyland, you go to the parking structure, they took your money and they didn't say anything about like, hey, do you have reservations? Like, we don't want you to pay, So I was like, that's kind of weird. Are they trying to like, because honestly, if you get there and at the front, like entrance to Disneyland, if you didn't have reservations, like, hey, if you don't have reservations, you can't get in. You can always go to like downtown Disney or something, right? So I was like, are they tricking people into staying? But so anyways, and then we went to get in. There was a good sized line to get in. and that's synonymous with Disneyland is lines and crowds and stuff, right? And yeah, didn't check my ID, so I was like, that's kind of weird. Went to California Adventure first, and I swear when I was there, it did not feel like limited capacity.
Really?
I'm like, there's still a lot of people here for it supposedly only being like 20% capacity or whatever they were allowing. I was like, this feels like, and it's a Monday, so a weekday too, right? I'm like, this feels like 80% capacity. What do you guys mean? But we did, after like a while, we went over to Disney. We had the park hopper, so we can go to both.
Okay.
And when I first walked into Disney, that's where I saw it, because that initial entrance, usually it's just like slammed with people and just like shoulder to shoulder. It takes you forever to just like walk through the little town area to get to where you want to go. It was like dead. And sure enough, by the time you got to where like the popular parts of the park are, it was crowded. But so I did see a little bit of that. But I did something there that's super exciting that most people haven't had the opportunity to do yet. And I'll preface it by telling a little story. We've taken Riley to Disney before, but last time we took her, she was only like not even 2 years old yet. Okay. So now, because of the pandemic, right? Like we didn't go the whole time. She's 3. So I was like, okay, she's old enough to actually like enjoy rides and know kind of what's going on now. So to warm her up, we took her on Little Mermaid, which is supposed to be like a kid ride.
Good one.
And she cried. She was like afraid of everything.
Oh my gosh.
Beck and I, like, for one, we felt bad, but for two, we were like confused. And so, we keep going. We took her on a few more rides, like the carousel and the Ferris wheel, and she loved all that stuff. So like we were mixing it up. Then we go over to Disney, and dude, I swear, for like the last year and a half, Riley has been in love with Halloween. Every show she watches on YouTube is like a Halloween version of whatever cartoon she watches. And she'll randomly tell me Happy Halloween, like all the time, even though it's May.
That's awesome.
She'll tell me to act like a zombie. Like she loves anything, Halloween. She pretends to be a ghost. I mean, like, she's just all about it. And so we're like, do you want to go on the Haunted Mansion? And she was all like excited, like, yeah, haunted house, I want to go. Scared to death on that ride, which is kind of no surprise. But she actually had a few moments where I think she kind of enjoyed that one, but she was otherwise terrified.
Right.
So we went from there. We went to Pirates of the Caribbean. Another thing she's like huge on. We actually watched the movie with her, and so she'll say like "ar," and she has a little pirate sword she'll hit me with and stuff. So she, again, 50-50. Half of it she was like crying and didn't want to be there anymore, and the other half she was kind of like entertained or whatever. So I think we learned at that point. I was like, I think she just doesn't like the dark. Whenever it gets like pitch black dark, she freaks out. Whenever she can see, she seems to be fine. So the thing Beck and I were looking forward to the most was the new ride at Disney, at the Star Wars Land, opened, called Rise of the Resistance.
Right. And
we were on a wait list like all day to potentially get to ride it, because it's just hard to get in right now, right? Like, it's exclusive. So we're on a wait list, and we finally, like, towards the end, it's nighttime, towards the end of the day, we finally got an alert saying like we can go. So we're like, screw it, like let's rush. And we were thinking like, well, hopefully Riley likes it. I was like, I think she will, she'll be okay. But she cried on Little Mermaid, so I don't know, but we took her on that ride. And I got to say, here, let me share my screen because I got some pictures to show. Pull it up. Yeah, we took her on that ride. There we go. And dude, out of everything I've done at Disneyland, this is hands down the coolest ride there.
Really?
No questions asked. It was freaking epic. Whether you're a Star Wars nerd or not, because like we said before, I'm enough of a nerd to appreciate it, but I'm not like a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
But like this dude, this picture here, that's part of the experience. Like the ride is like multiple parts where you actually have to get out and walk, and the stormtroopers and stuff are in character, and people are in character. So like you feel like you're on their ship and you're a prisoner, but this picture, this is not like let's enhance an image to like trick people into thinking this is epic. This is the actual room. Like, you will walk through here as part of the ride.
Oh, wow.
And as far as taking you to another place, like with the way that they integrate the screens and the theatrics and everything, like you feel like you're in space. You feel like you're on a ship. I mean, it was gnarly. Can you hear Riley screaming in there?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like the what are these called? ATs, I think, right?
Yeah.
they actually have like a full size 2 of them or something in there that part of the ride goes around.
What?
So,
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, just nuts. Like, this is another one of that room. Like,
Wow.
all this is crazy stuff, right? Like, there you can see some of the people. So you're on these things here, there. It's like a little cart and it's on wheels, and it's got to be like some sort of AI remote controlled thing, because it's not on a track. So I'm like, this is kind of seems dangerous, right? Like,
Yeah.
little computer glitch, and you're on this, like, pretty fastly moving cart that can slam into something. But yeah, it's you can kind of get the gist of it, right? Like, you start out on like your own ship, and then they basically capture you, and you're a prisoner, and you break out. That's like the gist of it. And so you're on this thing, like, flying around. You'll park sometimes. There's like fast drops and fast turns, and it's not like a full on roller coaster or anything, but it moves fast enough and has enough drops and stuff that it's exciting physically. But the whole theatrics of the experience is what makes it like the best. And a lot of people have raved about the you get to drive the Millennium Falcon, which is a great ride too, but this one shits on that one as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. It was great. So anyways, Riley, I held her hand and I held like the grab bar, and she had a little stuffed animal that we caught her. So she's like clinging onto that. She's holding my hand. She loved it, dude. Like, we got off and she's like, I want to ride the rocket. I want to go to space. Like, I was so happy, like so proud too. I'm like,
all about it. Yeah.
You cried on Little Mermaid, but this is your favorite ride? Like,
yeah. No kidding.
Yes, I'm happy. I'll ride this ride 1,000 times with you. I don't care. Let's keep going.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, she loved it so much that we rushed over. We took her on the Millennium Falcon too, and I'll have to get maybe for the next. It's on Becca's phone, but there's a funny picture of her that Becca took of her when she was on the Millennium Falcon, because she's holding like her stuffed animal, right, like around the neck, and she's grabbing onto the seat. And in one of like the drops, it must have happened. Her face, she's like she's scared shitless, but she was in love the whole time,
Yeah.
But yeah, so Disney during the during the limited capacity stuff was cool, and then getting to ride this ride was awesome too. So it felt good to go back to Disneyland, kind of post pandemic, and we're actually planning on going again next month because Avengers Campus opens.
Oh,
so we're gonna go and check that out. Yeah, I can't wait for that too. So yeah, that was my exciting week. Vegas and Disney in the same week. I'm broke now. But.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I went to Dave and Buster's today. That was about it.
Oh, nice.
Went to the block is pretty much my backyard, and it was funny. We keep talking about going. We're like, let's just go to Dave and Buster's, and then it was like, we don't even have to drive, so we just like basically walked out of our complex, and then it was funny. The walk to Dave and Buster's felt shorter than the walk feels for us to like go get packages in the center of like, we're like, did that feel like weirdly short? You know what I mean? So we might be going there a little more often. But yeah, we were playing like some games, and
I was gonna say, man, a walk to Dave and Buster's, that could be dangerous.
yeah I it's all the surrounding stuff that gets me. Like, I saw Johnny Rockets and I was like, oh man, a milkshake would be good, stuff like that. But yeah, it was same thing. It was there was like little stuff, they were I'd had my mask off a few times, mostly just because I had a drink, so I was sipping on my drink, especially because like we were playing like a lot of like not virtual, but like a lot of interactive games. So like there was like one almost like a fruit, or not like a fruit, but almost looked like one of those like drumming games, there's like pads everywhere, and it was like a Kung Fu Panda one. And like that one, just whatever one lights up or wherever it pops up on your screen, you got to hit it. So I was just like doing this and like, man, that, and like playing the basketball and all that. But like, yeah, they were like, they had told me, before, like, mask, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no big deal. But like when I was drinking my drink or whatever, or like we were sitting at the bar, they weren't as like big on it. But yeah, it felt pretty normal. It was weird. It did feel a little more normal. And same thing, like when you're eating and stuff, they don't expect it, but there wasn't like there was hand sanitizer everywhere, which is cool, but there wasn't.
Yeah, like, I'm actually cool with that staying.
Yeah.
Like,
I am too. Should have always been like that. Yeah. And then there was also this one that I played, and it was like a lightsaber one, and like that one you put like a head thing on, and then you like grab these controls, and you know, you do all that stuff and like chop and throw your lightsaber, and that was cool. But same thing, like right
It's like
next
kind
to
of like
that.
Beat Saber on the Oculus.
Yes, it was like, it reminded me a lot of like it was probably just a beefed up Oculus.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had a like, you know, the hand sanitizer right there, and then it had a tube of, you know, cleansing wipes or something like that. So that I didn't mind at all. I'm like, yeah, why would we not do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, should have been doing that the whole time. I don't want somebody's dirty sweat in there. Cause I
Yeah.
got done with it, and I was like, between like the mask on my face and then the goggles over, and I was like, my face was all sweaty. I was like, oh, that was disgusting. It made me think of who was in there before me. And I was like, oh,
Yeah. 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 That could be bad, I guess. You gotta have a
yeah,
dedicated
yeah,
person sanitizing it. Yeah, that's what was so nice about Vegas is like, you know, they lifted the mask mandate, so it was just normal. I mean, like
right.
there was still like we said, the sanitizing stations, and there was
Yeah,
still some signs everywhere, and there was still a significant amount of people still wearing masks and stuff, but nobody came up to us at all and said like, you need to wear your mask or please wear a
right,
mask
right.
or whatever. It was just, you know, they didn't care. And honestly, we even talked in the car like, should we wear a mask or not? Like, you know, to be safe. And I was like, I don't think these little surgical masks or the cloth mask was doing shit anyways. So, you know, unless you got some N95s, I think we're good. And I just settled on, I was like, you know what? I'm actually vaccinated. And if I whip through that, then I'm gonna take advantage of this. And I'm gonna, at some point, we got to get rid of the masks, right? So like,
Yeah,
here, let's do it. And let's just, and you know, the lack of a mask didn't feel as awkward to me as the crowds. Like I'm so used to the social distancing part and
yeah.
stuff like that, that to see a ton of people in like a small area together that took some getting used to. I almost
Yeah.
like, you know,
I was gonna say maybe that might have been partially some of your experience with Disney, was that the fact that like, when's the last time? I mean, even before that, where you've been in like that big of a crowd, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then you're there, and you're like, is it? You know, I'm thinking like, I mean, we're planning on going, you know, hopefully soon, and it's the same thing. It's like, is there more people out here, or is
well,
it just the fact that we haven't been around a lot of people at once?
yeah, and Disney they still socially distance. So like
Yeah.
they spread out the lines and they extended
Okay.
them. So like, you know, they were still making an attempt at social distancing. Now there's still
Yeah.
enough people that like you're walking almost shoulder to shoulder with everybody,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of pointless to be honest. But like they're having to make an attempt. So at Disney, you still
Right.
felt very much like you're in a pandemic. You're just in Disney in a pandemic, you know.
Yeah.
Vegas, on the other hand, like you almost forgot there was a pandemic. Like you didn't really even think about it. You know? So
Okay.
yeah, which made it cool. But yeah, I had one experience at Disney that there was a couple, but there was one that actually kind of pissed me off a little bit because most of the people that work there weren't tripping on masks and stuff like that. I mean, like there's a ton of kids running around that are like, you know, everywhere
Yeah.
from babies to toddlers to young kids, and so you saw a lot of kids wearing their mask improperly or not at all. A lot of adults, same thing, right? But and so some people never said anything, but occasionally there was that one employee who was like mask police, you know, um, which is fine. I get it. Maybe that's part of their job, or maybe they think they're making a difference or something. But we
Right.
had the stroller that we got originally for Riley is one of those ones she can like grow with. Like we could use it with her until she's probably like, I don't know what age is it not appropriate to push somebody in a stroller, like 5, right? 4, you know? So like
Yeah.
it's meant for her at 3 to still like sit in. And so, and she'll, as much as she'll walk a ton to try and keep up, I knew a whole day at Disney, she's going to want to be
Oh
carried or
yeah.
something. So we brought the stroller, and the one we have for her, like has like, when the thing folds down, she's like more than 3/4 covered, right? Like it even kind of like hangs a little over. So like she can kind of see out, but otherwise like she's very enclosed. And Disney has this thing where like you could take your mask off when you're eating or drinking, but you can only eat or drink in designated areas. So like they don't want you drinking and eating randomly throughout the park, right?
Right. Right.
So we didn't really know that yet. Um, or kind of knew it, but just ignored it, right? But we didn't know if that was like actually a thing or just something they kind of mentioned on the website, you know. And I'm pushing Riley in the stroller, and we're actually far away from everybody. Like that part of the park we were in, there wasn't that many people, and Riley's in the stroller, and we gave her a lollipop, so she's like going to town on it, as happy as can be, strapped in the stroller, pretty much like 3/4 enclosed, and we're probably easily 20 or 30 yards away from any other person, right? And we're walking, and this Disney dude comes like running over to us, like literally like half jogging over to us with his cloth, Disney mask on, and like gets close to us, and he's like, "Oh, just she has to wear a mask. You can only eat that like in designated areas." And I just said like, "Oh, okay, thank you," and just kept walking because fuck that guy, right? But in my mind, I'm like, dude, the most dangerous thing as far as spreading a virus right now was you running over to me to yell at us about like, come on, man, like pick and choose your battles,
that always cracks me up. Like, I mean, they enforce that on the sites that I'm on and stuff, which I understand. They have a thing to do, but like, especially for what I do, there isn't supposed to be anybody around us, even without that, the way things are. They're not supposed to put like material within 6 feet of our hoistways and stuff, like everything. We're just supposed to kind of be alone. Nobody's allowed to work ahead, on top of us unless we give permission. But even then, it's like, I don't even think then like anybody's really supposed to work on top of us. Like we're supposed to be the only person I'm supposed to be around is, my mechanic or somebody I'm working with. And, we're pretty secluded from most people, and anytime like there's been those things on the site where it's like, I take it down because, we're pushing things around, or, I gotta like catch my breath real quick, or, we're hauling things up flights of stairs, and then, or, it moves or whatnot. And we'll have somebody like come over, and I'm like, so the whole thing is to keep 6 feet or more. You came all the way over here just to tell me that, like I'm doing something wrong, but you're doing something wrong to tell me I'm doing something wrong. You know what I mean? When there's nobody around me, I'm like working by myself, like, cutting some things up, or, but I'm like, all right, man, sure.
Well, that was like my whole thing during the pandemic, right? Is okay. So my stepfather actually my stepfather and my mother both got COVID, right? Like in the beginning too. And my grandmother got it at the same time, right? They all got it at the same time. And my stepfather actually was in the ICU for like 2 weeks, and almost like he was at like minutes away from going on a ventilator, and he does have like comorbidities, type 1 diabetic, stuff like that, right? And so I saw firsthand, right, how serious this virus can be, right? Like I understood it. And also working, at the prison, there were some people that I heard of within CDCR that passed away from it. There were some inmates passed away, people that also got like just very sick. So I'm like, all right, on one hand, I've met people that didn't even know they had it, never had any symptoms, were totally fine. On the other hand, people have died, right? And personally, my stepfather almost died, right? Like it was bad. It took him months to recover afterwards. He lost like 60 or 70 pounds. I mean, it was, some crazy stuff, right? So I was never somebody who was like, this virus is a joke, let's not take it serious, it's conspiracy and, whatever else. And, but that said, like, I did what I thought was best to not spread the virus. Okay. Now I never got it, never spread it, so like, and I was tested twice a week at the prison during like the whole pandemic. So I know for sure, like I never had it. And so anyways, I'm still one of those people that like, I'm science minded enough to say, okay, I recognize this is a real thing and a real threat, something we have to deal with.
All right.
But at a certain point, you have to look at stuff like that and say, okay, I get it that you're trying to enforce rules that you think are best to not like spread this thing, but literally by you doing so, you're breaking those rules, and you're potentially spreading it. And some of the rules that we had, it just seemed like it got like really ridiculous. Like when they closed indoor dining, and so they opened up outdoor dining, and then the outdoor dining spaces became enclosed tents outside. Like, what is going on? Like, just at this point, just let everybody eat inside. What's the difference? Like, oh, there's a slight breeze outside that might.
Yeah.
Okay.
indoor, outdoor.
Yeah. Like that meme, right? Like, no, the inside is the outside, or whatever. The outside is the inside.
Yeah. Good thing I'm outside, or the good thing I'm inside eating outside, or vice versa.
Yeah. So stuff like that, it bothered me. Same thing with like the thermometers, the ones they put in your head.
Yeah.
That are, okay, if you just look up the statistics on the success rate of those, they're just incredibly inaccurate, for one. And half the time I encountered those, somebody was like trying to figure out how it would work, and then they shoot it at you, and I don't even know if it turned on. They're just like, yeah, good.
I didn't hear a beep or anything. I'm like, is there batteries in that? Like, you just want to put a magic wand over me as well?
Yeah. So I felt like a lot of the stuff people did was like well, they're forcing us to make an effort, so here it is, but it's not really an effort, and
Right.
um, yeah, so all that was just really frustrating. And I made the decision to get the vaccine. I actually got it in January, like when it first released. I got the Moderna,
Okay.
and the reason I got it was because uh, I felt like Becca's parents live with us, and they're older, and so I was like, after what Clint went through, my stepfather, I
Right.
was like, I don't want to be the person that brings this home
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
family, and maybe one of them takes it's hard on them, right? And not to mention that, but I was literally working in the prison at the time in the kitchens, in an institution that had like a outbreak where there was like people testing positive left and right, coworkers and inmates and stuff. So I'm around people every day. Like it literally felt like, no joke, at least once a week, somebody from our area was testing positive and going out. And
Right.
like by the time they'd come back to work, somebody else would have been positive. It just seemed like, so I was just like stressed and paranoid, having people, always positive around me. And then had that in the back of my mind that I was like, you know what? They've almost gone through all the phases of the clinical trials for this vaccine. These are billion-dollar companies that they don't want crazy lawsuits. So I'm pretty sure they've at least ruled out it'll kill you. I was like, maybe it'll make me sick or give me some weird side effects or whatever. But I just at the point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna risk getting side effects myself so that I could potentially be more armored to not give them this virus. Otherwise, me, I'm like, I'm not gonna get that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Um, but then you got like President Biden saying like vaccine or mask or else. I'm like,
Oh my
all right,
gosh.
man, listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that. Like, oh, if we get everything done, then we can celebrate July 4th. It's like, why is that a magical, the dates are what crack me up. It's like
Yeah.
June 15th, everything will go, if you're vaxxed, then you don't have to mask. It's like, so if we do it on June 14th, we're all doomed. You know what I mean? Like why are these magical, like, why not just like, hey, it's fucking done, guys. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, that was always a funny one. It's like, wait, so you're telling me on the day of independence I can celebrate my independence?
Yeah.
Like, is
Yeah.
that what you're telling me? i
But
might i might be able to do it.
yeah,
Like, what the fuck?
but if you don't listen to me, you can't,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. At a certain point, we kind of got to remind the government of like, listen, you're not the all powerful, all controlling thing over the people. Like
Right.
you're by the people for the people. You're elected. You are supposed to be the people. And oh man, I mean that's a whole other. I'm not political enough to discuss that in
Yeah.
depth. I'm one of those people that like I'm ignorant until something directly affects me, and by directly affects me, I mean it's got to be more than like, oh, I read this on Facebook and I'm agitated. Like
Right.
no,
Right.
like you know, you got somebody showing up to my doorstep trying to force me to take some vaccine or something. We're fighting. Like
Yes.
that's where
Yeah.
I'll get politically involved.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, otherwise, so it's been kind of ridiculous. So I feel like I mean we all have unique perspectives of the pandemic because
Right.
we each have individual lives, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like I have a unique perspective, I think, because I am vaccinated. I did comply with all the rules. I've worked for the state of California and I've worked in institutions that were surrounded by COVID. And so when I go to a place like Disney to have some like random ass dude come over to be like, your daughter can't eat a lollipop in a secluded stroller far away from people because it's not a designated area. I'm like, listen, man, GFY.
Hey. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey, GFY, because you know what? She's 3 years old. You know what I mean? Like, relax, dude.
Yeah. And it's
Jeez.
like, whether we go 20 feet over there to that area that you put caution tape on the ground saying this is your designated lollipop area, or whether we're here where we're also not by people,
Yeah.
guess what? It's not like I'm standing in line surrounded by people and I have my daughter coughing on my shoulder, like, come on.
Yeah.
But it's probably just because, not enough people have common sense. So they have to have stupid rules for the rest of us.
That's usually why some of these rules and some of these, I mean, especially like medical things, they always go above and beyond. Like, I'm not a doctor, obviously, you know what I mean? Um, I do have some medical training as I was an EMT and all that stuff, but you know, most of the time they're giving you parameters that are so they're doubling down to save their butts, and that's because not just in it- and that's probably why California is as strict as it is because you know everybody in California is very sue happy. you know,
Mhm.
like me and you have been on the other side of lawsuits for various things, you know what I mean? Like, and everybody in California is very sue happy. So especially when it comes to medical things, they double down like, oh, you know, you got surgery, so you can't do anything for 45 weeks. It's like, you know, I'm no scientist, I'm no freaking rocket surgeon, but I know my body feels okay at like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Like that was me, you know, I got chest surgery and stuff. And you know, we'll talk about that one day for you people wondering. Yes, it was gyno surgery. That's a juicy one for you. But anyway, more puberty related. Um, you know, they were like, oh, you can't do anything for like 8 weeks. You can't pick up a 5-pound dumbbell. You can't, don't strain yourself. And same thing. I was like, hey, how about chata? How about shut the fuck up? Because I know a little more about my body than some guy who like looked at me and examined my pectoral for, you know, a week or two. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, they're gonna double down to make sure A, their butts are covered, and then B, just people, I mean, people are going to go sue happy no matter what. But yeah, some of these guidelines and some of these, like, it's just like, all right, you guys are, you know, you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that, because I had it made me think of this experience I had with the doctor. And I'm a very respectful person. I respect the medical field. You know,
Yes.
Becca's an RN. Like, I respect that.
Right.
So when I encounter nurses, doctors, whatever, like, I give them the respect that they've earned, because they've earned it, right?
Yes.
However, at the same time, I don't just willingly accept 100% of everything they tell me to do,
Yes.
because I'm also intelligent.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
Because I'm a learned doctor.
yeah, so I I now, like, most of the time when I want blood work, right? You know, I have really good insurance, so I try to get it through my doctor so I don't have to pay for it, you know, or
Right.
like I pay a low copay or whatever it is. And otherwise, like, I'm paying hundreds of dollars to order my own blood work online through like Direct Labs or something. So a lot of times I just do that because I don't want to deal with the headache of like, well, let me meet with the doctor and let me convince him to order the blood work I want. And, you know, so anyways, I had this one time where, uh, you know, and I was still competing and stuff. And so when I had doctors that I liked, I would stick with them because they knew my story, and that's how it should
Right.
be. Like, you should have a relationship with your doctor. They should know more
Yeah.
about you than just a
100%.
number, right? And I still have Kaiser, but I have Kaiser at the time. And the thing I didn't like about him is they kind of like, you know, I love that everything is in one place, but
Yes.
they
That's
also kind
nice.
of run you through it like cattle. So sometimes, like, I'm meeting with doctors, it's the first time I meet them, and they're looking at my chart and they're just kind of like, hey, here's some, they prescribe stuff or do whatever. I'm like, look, you really don't even know what I'm doing. Like, come on, don't
Yeah.
just, you know, you're just treating a numbers game here. But so
Yeah.
anyways, I was in the process of trying, I had a, because of the colitis, I had a gastroenterologist that I was working with that I liked. But unfortunately, like, for some of the other things I wanted to look into for bodybuilding, I needed to talk to like a general practitioner. And so they're like, we need, like, who's your GP? I'm like, I don't even have one. So they're like, well, we'll set you up with one, and, you know, you can go from there. So I kind of was like, you know, giving them trial runs. If I didn't like them, I'm like, give me another one, and like trying to find somebody that I'd like.
Right.
Anyways, I found somebody who seemed open-minded enough, because back then I like, and I recommend this to anybody if you're listening, if you take steroids for bodybuilding, you know, that like I did back then, that you're open and honest with your doctor. Don't hide that from your doctor. They're not going to
Right.
like, there's HIPAA laws. They're not going to call the cops. Like, this guy's using
Yeah.
steroids, arrest him, you know? And if you hide that from your doctor and you're actually sick, it's only going to hurt you.
Right.
Your doctor's not supposed to care. Now, some doctors take it upon themselves to like lecture you. Well, listen, that's unhealthy, and I'm going to just talk out of my ass because I'm a doctor and I don't know anything about that, but I've been told
Yeah.
this wrong, so don't do it. Right. So anyways, I told this new doctor what I was doing, my reasons why, that I was going to keep doing it regardless, at the time. And I'm trying to do the responsible thing of monitoring my health, and I'd like your assistance with that. So most of them are just like, well, you know, that's bad for you, don't do it. And I'm like, okay, next, like, give me another one.
Right.
So I found this guy that was like, you know, he was like, okay, like, you know, I showed him, like, I mean, granted, I'm in the waiting room, I was pretty jacked, right? But like, I showed him actual pictures of me in competition. I'm like, this is kind of a profession. Like, I'm, you know, I make my money from the fitness industry, and it's all related to bodybuilding, you know. So I got him on board, but I gave him a list of the blood work I wanted, which I think was weird to him. His patient's like,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
are the tests that I want. And he he was like, well, okay. And he ended up ordering like 80% of them. Well, I think he left out like, I don't know, maybe liver enzymes or something like basic. And so I was kind of irritated when I got my results. I was like, I told you I needed these as well. What the
Right.
hell? And so anyways, we got the results back, and I'm meeting with him, and he was like surprised. He's like, yeah, you're healthy. You're like perfect health. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know. I'm just trying to confirm that. Like I
Right.
work
Right.
really hard at this, but it like blew his mind to go like, wait, I thought all steroids were like incredibly harmful, and I was
Yeah.
expecting you to
Yeah.
be like sick with all these heart problems and everything else.
Yeah. He thought he was going to be working on a zombie or something.
Yeah, and well, I think he wanted to get the results from the blood work so he could then lecture me, be like, see, you got to stop
Right.
all this because it's bad for you. And
Yeah.
instead he was like, yeah, you're he's like, you're doing it right, I guess. Like he kind of like,
You're doing it right, I
he was
guess.
like, this guy's like super jacked, and he's taking responsibility for his health, and his blood work's perfect, so I got nothing,
Right. Right.
So so yeah, it's kind of one of those things where the government or even medical professionals and stuff, when they kind of tell you to something, definitely respect them for like, I respect the law enforcement, government, people in power, and
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
I respect medical professionals as well, but I still also think for myself, because of things like that. At the end of the day, nobody's going to know you better than you, um, and your perspective and your experience and whatever else. So
Yeah.
kind of got
Yeah,
on a tangent, but just reminded me of that story.
No, and that reminds me of, I mean, it's been what, 3 years now, or a little over 3 years since I herniated the disc in my back. And I probably had some herniations beforehand, but this is the one that was bugging me. It still bugs me to this day. And I went in to see like I'm gonna throw up air quotes, a spine specialist at, who read my MRI and stuff. And they were trying to get me to use their machine, which was gonna cost like $800 or something like that. And then Tina, who we know, she's like, oh, I know a guy that like owns an MRI place, and like I paid like $200. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I took in the results, and the first thing the guy says is like, he asked me how it happened, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure it was from lifting wrong or something like that. I know it was around the time I had done this exhibition lift and stuff, so I figured it was from that. And he tells me, he's like, you probably got to get you to stop lifting. Another thing is, I'll probably send you to physical therapy so they could really work on strengthening your core. And I don't know why I didn't just slap him in that instance, because I was like, so I've squatted 800 pounds and I've deadlifted 800 pounds, but my core needs work, is what you're telling me. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where like we're saying like, yeah, they might know some things but they might not know everything, and that's probably been the hardest thing with what I have going on and stuff is, I don't know how many medical professionals I've gone to where I've been like, hey, have you ever had anybody like me?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh yeah, I've had like total, I've had plenty of guys, they lift weights. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm asking. Like, yeah, plenty of people lift weights, but like, have you had somebody like me, and have you got them, better? You know what I mean?
It's like,
but
I'm not talking about the guy who lifted weights for high school football and he kind of lifted weights like you,
because every doctor would be like, oh, I used to power lift. Like, oh, really? What federation? Oh, well, I lifted for football. Like, oh, it's not powerlifting. That's just you lifted for.
Yeah, we used to do like hang cleans,
Yeah,
like powerlifting. All right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I used to bench every day. Oh, okay. All right. So you're an expert as well. Gotcha.
Yeah. I remember this guy at the gym one time. He was one of those, like, 50-year-old guy, and just kind of fat, kind of thick,
Mm-hmm.
but he was he had like 315 on the incline press, and it was a 24-hour fitness off of Lemon.
All right, respectable.
And, yeah, okay, so he had the weight on the bar on the bench.
All right.
He was just standing by it and sitting by it. And I was kind of watching him, because at the time, like, there wasn't going to be anybody outside of our group probably trying to do 315 on the incline press, right? Like in that gym, we were the strongest people probably in the county at that time, but especially at that gym,
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, he was just lingering by it, and I just watched him, dude. Like, in between sets, I'd glance over there. I never saw him lift it. Never did. And so as I'm working out, like, I ended up having to go use I don't know. I think I was doing legs and the hack squat was like right behind it. Right. And so I'm doing it and I don't know. I put a decent amount of weight on the hack squat, like probably 4 or 5 plates on the side. Right. And he saw that as like his, you know, and I'm already kind of jacked, as like his opportunity to go like, let me go talk to this fellow jack guy and talk about how strong
Right.
we are, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, he proceeds to tell me all kinds of crazy shit. Like he used to bench 6 plates, you know, whatever else. And so I just kind of listened to it. And I think Brad was with me at the time and we were just listening to this guy. The only thing I said to him was, I was like, man, that's unbelievable. He's like, yeah. And then we walked away because, you know, he took it as like a compliment. Like, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, you're really strong. But in my mind, I was just like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, no, you're literally telling him, yeah, that's unbelievable to me, as in I don't believe you. Like,
So,
that's a good one.
I then end up, and this, I mean, this is especially to put it even in more context. It would have been like what, maybe 2009, 2010, and so like. There wasn't that many people. I mean, there's still not that many people who bench press 585 or 600 pounds, right?
Right.
Like even equipped, there wasn't even a whole lot of people getting up past that. I mean, like they did, the top did, but like you knew who those people were, especially at that time. Even somebody benching 600 in a shirt, you probably we knew who they were, you know. So like to have
you can maybe count them on one hand.
Yeah, to have some old guys say like, yeah, I benched like 600 pounds back in the day. I'm like, I don't think you did. I think there was like maybe 2 or 3 people that did that back in the day. So
yeah, I mean, how many? I mean, after we competed and stuff, how many like of those stories where did we realize, you know, when we used to work in like the stores and stuff in like in NutriShop, and people would come up to us and like, you know, they would be somewhat impressed with like who you were, or just like, you know, maybe like where you were for your age and stuff. And then they would always give you a backhanded compliment, or they would always like tell you something to just try to make you feel like shit. And I remember all those years, I always felt like shit, you know, until I started competing. And then I was just like, oh, like this is not, you know, these things aren't normal, you know, like, and all these guys are like, yeah, I've been 600 pounds. So like, okay, sure you did. You know what I mean? Like, okay, man.
Yeah, it's like, did you get 600 pounds on a machine bench press one time? It was really only like 230, and you just, you know.
Yeah, you twisted the Smith machine with 600, and then you twisted it back. I'm guessing that's the lift that you're
or
talking
about. I used to do powerlifting. It's like, oh, like, you know, well, how much do you squat? I never really liked the squat. I leg pressed a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. You had a really strong leg press.
I leg pressed 1,000 pounds. Okay. All right.
Good. Even people to this day that I'm like, okay, if you got a really strong leg press, cool. Like push the boundaries, try and lift more. Like increasing strength on the leg press is a good thing. Okay. You're building muscle, and it could translate over to everything else. I mean, a leg press is actually a great movement for conventional deadlift, right? Like you put the same feet positioning and improve your strength there can actually lead to strength gains on the deadlift. So, but when people brag to me about how much they can leg press, I just cringe every time. I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares. There's no leg press competition. So I don't care. I don't care how much weight you can lift on anything that's not any competition. And to be honest, I don't even care how much you lift in the gym on the power lifts.
Yeah.
I care about your competition numbers. You want to brag? Throw that out there. Hey, the last meet I did, I totaled, you know, 1,800. That's awesome. Congratulations. I will give you props. You know, oh, like, well, I benched like 405 in the gym. I could probably, you know, do that. It's like, you'll probably bench like 320 in competition. It's a whole different level. You know, it's a
whole different thing.
Yeah. So, I used to tell people that too. Like, yeah, cool. You should compete.
That's what I always tell them. I'm like, hey, there's a meet every month now. You should try it.
Yep. You're going to brag about how strong you are. There's a place you could do it. It's in a competition.
Yeah.
And you will either win and therefore can brag, or lose and therefore be humbled. That's where it's at, you know?
I don't know how many people we knew who, you know, always had all that stuff. And then they were just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm this and I'm that. And we're like, well, you know, if there was a place where you could try that to see if that was a real thing, and they could record your numbers that you say you do, you know, like, if only.
I think that was always one of my like my favorite aspects of powerlifting was like, you could be the most arrogant person in the world about how your capabilities, right? And people could love you and hate you for it on a personal level. But like, if you were just a cocky jerk and you're like, I'm the strongest person to walk this planet, and you show up and you beat everybody in a meet and you put up bigger numbers than anybody's ever put up, well, who could say anything to you? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're one of those people and you do that and then you get your ass kicked, you know,
Yeah.
like it's the ultimate like humbling experience, like you know, to get your ass kicked, and nothing feels better than when you show up and you win the meet, right? Or you set a record or whatever it is.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I just push things further. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's I just love that, like the truth and the results aspect of powerlifting, you know, like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the finality of it, you know.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why
Cause
you don't see very many of those loud people in it, because it's just they don't last, or they get humbled real quick, and then it's just like, okay, right, see
well,
you later.
that's what's kind of crazy too, right? The strongest people are, most of
Usually
them are
the
not arrogant.
quietest.
Yeah. It's just
Right.
like, I mean, I think of like a Dan Green, for example.
I was about to say Dan Green.
Yeah, he's like probably the quietest, like doesn't put himself on blast very, you know, at all. Like it just,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been following him again recently. I mean, I've always followed him, but like I've been paying closer attention. And I think the other day he pulled like 970 by
Yeah, for a
two
double.
off of like 2-inch blocks or something crazy.
For a double. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
he's I still, every time I tell like people about like when I got started powerlifting, I did my first meet, and you know, Brandon signed me up. We'll have to retell that story someday.
yeah.
But basically, you know, I had been training for, at this point, you know, like a meathead for the most part, but as a like a powerlifter for about a year. But my first meet, I think I was 25 or 26. So I had been lifting outside of high school, you know, if you don't count high school lifting, 8 years. You know what I mean? So I had built up a decent amount of muscle, a decent amount of strength. And, you know, me and
But aside from the short, like preparing for the Fire Academy days, you were
yeah,
otherwise like, you weren't just lifting, you were training. Like you were
yeah,
taking it as serious as any powerlifter, any bodybuilder. Like you were about,
right.
you know.
Yeah, I trained hard, you know,
Yeah.
I eventually, or initially, wanted to get into bodybuilding and stuff, but then Brandon showed me the way of powerlifting, and then, you know, I had done this meet, and then I remember that day it was just like, hey, did you know that's a state record? Did you know that's a state record? Did you know that's a state record? And I was like, oh, you know, I didn't know, you know, and I
You
was
won
like,
the meet,
cool,
you set all the records, and you won best lifter.
right, right,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm pretty good at
and
this.
yeah, I was like, oh, like I can do okay at this, you know what I mean? And I just remember, like, I had, you know, on the rankings and stuff, I had like my name on some things. And then I remember about 6 months later, some friends of mine asked me about it, and they're like, hey, dude, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm, you know, and I went to go show them the list, and then some fucking asshole Dan Green had broken all my shit. And then that's how I was introduced to Dan Green. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And here we are still talking about Dan Green, the
Well,
centaur.
yeah, I remember at the time when I was at like my peak, right? Was I was occasionally I was over 240, 250, like I'd be waiting in there. But like by the time I was getting close to like meet time, I was always around like from anywhere from like 223 to like 235. And
Right.
so like a small 242 guy, or like maybe cut a little bit and hit 220s. Like if I was going to be a serious power lifter, like taking it serious, I should have cut down to do 220s every time. Cause I just,
Right.
you know, you weigh heavy and you cut down. Right.
Yeah.
And then that especially, I remember, I looked at the records for USPA because I had my taste, right? Like I had the state record squat that we had our battle on. And then I had that national record deadlift for a little bit. And so like I got the taste. I'm like, I want to set some records. Let's do more. And so Dan did a meet and he crushed all the 242 records.
Yeah.
And I saw the numbers he put up. I'm like, I'm not going to get those. So like 220 it is. And that's around the same time that you started setting records for it too. And
Yeah.
at the time we were still close enough where I was like, okay, I'm not going to get bench. I was like, but I could still probably hang with Mason on squat, deadlift, and total at the time. And then, I mean, you went way beyond me afterwards where I had no chance. But at the time, I'm like, okay, like 220 is where I could do some battle, maybe set some
Right.
records and stuff. And then, yeah, Dan came in, he dropped weight down to that or whatever, and just blew everything out of the water there too.
Yeah.
And then I think that's whenever I kind of started focusing on bodybuilding again.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, the next level showed up and I wasn't ready.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And where it's at now has just gotten nutty.
oh, dude, like that, the growth of raw powerlifting over the last, like, I'd say maybe decade, but probably really only like the last 6 years or so.
Yeah.
It's insane. Even like what the natural guys are doing in USAPL and
Yeah.
what the enhanced guys are hitting. I mean, to be honest, if you're two, I mean, shoot, not even 220 now. There's guys lighter than 220 totaling over 2,000 pounds, which is fucking nuts. Like, I think, I've seen on Instagram, Andy trains with John, right? John Hack, I think is his name. Dude,
John.
that guy's insane. Like, I look at some of his videos and he competes at 181, right? Or maybe he's outgrown that now.
He used to. He's between 198 and 220. I mean, he maybe walks around 210, 212. He'll suck down to 198, you know. And I mean, he's also a tall guy. He's got like some pretty solid leverages, but yeah, he's just nutty strong. I mean, yeah, he's about to. I won't doubt he'll bench 6 within the next year or so.
Dude, that's the thing. I mean, every lift,
that's 3 times his body weight.
Yeah, every lift. But yeah, I saw that the other day. I didn't read the caption at first. I was just like bored scrolling through Instagram, and I saw him lay down on a bench and just warm up with the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there were kilo plates I think on there, and so I didn't really know exactly how much, but like I saw kind of number, I'm like, how much was that? Like, looked like a warm up. Yeah, it was like 488 or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this guy just literally warmed up with like damn near 500 pounds. Same thing, like he did some with the deadlifts where I think his style, if I remember correctly, I'm not confusing people, he just kind of stands there and goes down, just picks it up. You know, he doesn't set like I used to set up, I'd yell and I'd get all set up and like then explode with it. He just kind of like walks up to the bar, just grabs it and stands up with it.
Yeah, he's pretty nonchalant with it.
Yeah, like I think that's the part I'm most impressed with, is that like it just seems like he's just like, this is so easy for me, and he's just putting up crazy numbers, and it makes me more like I've never met him myself. You've probably met him before or hung out with him.
Yeah, right? I've hung out with him. He's a real cool dude.
Yeah, but I was excited following his stuff. Like I don't follow a ton of powerlifters outside of like the legends like Dan Green and stuff.
Right.
But he's somebody that I've been following and like actually kind of excited to follow his progress, just because you don't see that very often, that level. So wherever these like freaks came from, or maybe it's people after now that they put in some decent years of like actual programming and training for it and stuff. But the level of powerlifting now, I think, is at an all-time high as far as talent. And really what it was the emergence of raw powerlifting. I think people trained with gear for too long that it actually made them worse lifters. Right. And people started training raw and developing actual non-equipped strength again. And there's some wild shit going on. So,
just got strong from everywhere.
Yeah. I just feel glad that I'm in a position where, I mean, I get motivated every once in a while. I think about like some things I still want to do on a personal level with powerlifting, but even the things that I want to accomplish don't mean anything to anybody other than me, because the people have advanced so far. So it's kind of cool to be in a like a fan position of just respecting what these people are doing. You know, to have been a player in the game and know that I could never get to their level, or you know, whatever, and sit there and watch it and be like, man, I'm actually excited to watch somebody lift weights, you know. So
yeah, for sure. It's come full circle.
Yeah. So, well, we're getting kind of long on time. The only other thing that happened that was exciting was the New York Pro.
Okay.
I was going to pull that up, but it would take too long. Nick Walker ended up winning.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he looked amazing, and rightfully so. He actually, Justin Rodriguez, who won the Indy Pro, he ended up getting second, and it was close, but like I haven't checked the scorecards, but I'm pretty sure Nick got off first. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Like he was the clear winner. But Justin also was in prejudging. He wasn't hitting his rear lat spread properly, so that hurt him. Like I don't know if he was cramping or what. Like it's definitely it's uncharacteristic of a professional at that level to not hit a pose properly. Like
right.
You know, like the way he was hitting it. So I don't know what happened, but the beef between Nick and Blessing wasn't even in the ballpark, so there wasn't even a comparison because he wasn't even close enough. But I did see something afterwards. Blessing actually gave Nick props and was like humbled about it. So like, I like the guy, you know.
That's respectable.
Yeah, I'm all about that. You know, you can. Yeah. They succeeded in creating a ton of hype and made it kind of exciting to follow. It would have been better if Blessing was better, or if Nick wasn't as good. Maybe Nick's improvements were just more than what Blessing had accounted for. I don't know, but either way, at the end, to see Blessing, like, you know, own his loss. He's not going to do the Cal anymore. He's like, I'm going to take some time off and go back to do some homework, you know?
Yeah.
So that was cool. I don't think anybody that, yeah, I follow what the fans are doing, right? And so many people started just like shitting on each other with this whole beef between them. And I'm like, if you can't follow the whole thing and see what happened and not be like appreciative of the drama, but then also respect both people for how they carried themselves, you know, especially
Right.
Blessing in defeat, Nick and, you know, it being the victor. I'm fans of both those guys now, and I'll keep following them. But
Yeah.
dude, I think we'll see how people qualify the rest of this year, but it's looking like it's going to be a pretty stacked lineup for the Olympia this year.
Mhm.
A lot of guys coming back that didn't compete last year and stuff like that. But depending on who shows up, I wouldn't be surprised to see Nick in the top 10, maybe even cracking top 5, depending on who shows up. So like for a 25-year-old guy like that to be at that
Man.
level,
Wow.
that's exciting, you know, something to watch. So
yeah, that's a huge future if that's him at 25.
yep. So anyways, man, you got anything else to add before we sign off on this?
No, I guess we got what holiday weekend coming up. I got Monday off. So other than that, yeah.
Wait, not tomorrow, right? It's the following Monday, isn't it?
No, the following Monday. Yeah,
Okay.
next Monday. I got me a 5-day weekend coming up. So I got Thursday, Friday, some paid time off, which I haven't taken any paid time off since what, Cal? October. When's the last time I took time off? October? Yeah, October. Huh? September. That's when it was. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. So and it was mainly because I wanted to make sure I was sworn in and all that stuff, and they couldn't get rid of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, take some my mechanic's taking the time, so I'll take 2 days, you know, rather than like a week or something, and then bump it on that Monday that we already have off, and I don't know, we're gonna go out to Sacramento, have some fun.
Having a job with paid time off is the best. Like that's
really
cool. I mean, the only thing that's better is like, I don't know, being your own boss, owning a business when you're making enough money, but that's incredibly rare.
Yeah.
So the second best thing is having a job where you have paid time off. So,
right.
Yeah. So Sacramento, you said?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do up there?
That'll be my first time there. It's where
shit.
my girlfriend Callie's from, so we're gonna go see some of her family. Her niece is graduated, and then she's gonna show me around, show me the cum trees and all that fun stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Is she from like Sacramento proper or from one of the surrounding cities?
I think it's Cal. What's the city you're from exactly? Hue? Oh, not Vietnam. In Sacramento. I was like, you never told me you were from Hue, Sacramento. What is that? Elk Grove. I thought it was Elk Grove. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Elk Grove. Yeah.
Well, dude, my mom lived in Cameron Park for I don't know, like 5 or 6 years, I think. So I get to know the surrounding area up there pretty well just from visiting them. So if I were going to leave SoCal and stay in California, Elk Grove would be on the list, I think. Although I'd probably go like to Folsom, El Dorado Hills, like something more in the mountains. But no, it's legit. I really like Sacramento myself. I think
this will be my first
cool little city. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. He asked her where she's from.
Yeah.
That was awesome. All right. Well, I guess we'll take up next week, man.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Until next time, you're tuned into Body Geeks.
See you guys.